Mama G here. It's pantry time again. This is week 5 of us going through my pantry, and we're almost there. I'm alone today, so I have to be my own videographer today, but I wanted to kind of finish up the food stuff that I have in my pantry, and then we could talk a little bit about appliances and other things that I think are worthwhile having in your pantry. So let me just flip it around here. And we had talked about condiments. We had talked about all the canned goods and all of those things. So I just want to mention a few other things that I have in here. I have some tuna. These are tuna packets, they happen to be. I have some sardines. And I also have some canned salmon. All of these things I think came from Costco just because we do a weekly Costco run. But I really love to have these protein options in my pantry. They are easy when you don't have anything in your refrigerator. They're great sources of protein, healthy fats, and really nutritious and delicious. So love all of those things. So consider that in your pantry. I also have other condiments in here as well. I've got some roasted peppers in here. I've got sun-dried tomatoes that are done in oil. I have sun-dried tomatoes that are just dried. What else do I have in here? I have some chipotle peppers, which are awesome, which by the way, when I open those peppers, if I don't use them all, I put them in a Ziploc bag and then I can just break up how many I need, a tablespoon or such. So that's really wonderful. Now, just want to mention this about enchilada sauces. I think what's most important when you purchase an enchilada sauce is that the first ingredient should be tomatoes, right? There's other things in here in terms of stabilizers, which are perfectly fine, but the first ingredient is really tomatoes as opposed to other things. So that at least, again, we're upping our opportunity to encourage more non-starchy vegetables in our life, which we are all lacking. So I have these container systems that I have talked about before from the Container Store, which I really love. And for me, it's worked out really well. Now, I happen to have a really big pantry, as I mentioned, because of the fact that I gave up my dining room. But I have a drawer of just extras kind of things in here so that I always have backup items for me. I have I have a drawer full of extra spices. So I've got the spice rack here with lots and lots of different spices. Now, the problem is that when you have spices for a long period of time, they kind of, like medication, lose their oomph. So, don't purchase big bottles if you don't need to. A lot of people can simply buy a little baggie full of spices. They also make little half bottles, which would behoove you more. So they make little bottles like this, little half bottles, so that you don't have to have large portions. But we do have certain spices that we use in large quantities that we get the big supersized version from Costco or Smart and Final. But, really utilizing spices that you use on a regular basis. For me, these are all spices that I use on occasion. On the other hand, I keep my little container here full of items that I use on a regular basis, which are things like cayenne pepper, shockingly enough, chili powder. In this case, this is cumin, but I do have one with chili powder and paprika, garlic, onion powder. There's my chili powder. So those are kind of my regular items. So I can just take this out into the kitchen with me when I want it, and then just bring it back in here. And then I have salt and pepper and red pepper flakes on my stovetop. So again, I have lots of different spices here that I've just accumulated over the years. Some things I use more often than others, but again, small bottles or little baggies with spices is really the way to go so that they have more flavor for them. In my drawer here are just extras of spices that I have, things that I use on the regular basis, but this is what I was talking about. It's just a little half bottle of it. Keep it sealed up tight, and you should be good to go for a year or more. When my husband is gardening, which he does all the time, we actually have a live herb box, but we will wash the items really well. This happens to be oregano. Let them dry on a rack in the pantry, and then I'll throw them in Ziploc bags. Then I can just give them a little cruncha. You'll see that the leaves get to the bottom, and then I just collect what I need. So we've got several different spices, herbs in here, I should say, the same way, dried out, labeled, thankfully, because otherwise I forget what they are. But again, just extra spices there are really useful for me. The dried spices last a lot longer, so it's really nice. We definitely have a drawer full of hydration and fuel for when we are doing extended period of times with exercise. So one of my favorites, aside from packets of baby food, which is just fruit with about 100 calories, pureed baby food, are maple syrup packets. They are 100 calories. They can be consumed in seconds. They taste absolutely delicious, but when you are needing quick fuel, when you are putting out a lot of energy on a run or an intensive hike or other endurance type of situation, highly recommend having some quick glucose available to you. In this case, this is fructose from the maple syrup, but broken down into glucose by your body quickly and easily. So quick fuel is really important. I am not a fan of all of these little blocks and stuff, but somebody got them free, I'm sure, or my husband might have purchased them. But again, really just a fan of some quick fuel, usually baby food packets, a little bit of maple syrup really makes me happy. And then we do keep some salt sticks available because when you're out for long extended periods of time, it's really important that we replenish our electrolytes. So between drinking water every 15 seconds or so, or 15 minutes or so, adding some fuel into the mix every 45 minutes or so, and then using some kind of hydration powder as well, something like a Tailwind or Scratch or other things like this. We've got fuel and hydration all at the same time, and then we add in a little bit of electrolytes every hour or so, and we will be good to go for the long term. But these are things that I work on with my clients who are more athletically inclined, who are looking to get better hydration and fuel in their lives. It is a game changer for sure when you are trying to perform and you are not fully hydrated or fueled, because the old bonk is no joke. We are also big fans of the old chocolate milk post-workout. We keep some pre-made ones just in case we're out on the road, but between the amount of protein to carbohydrate ratio, we love a chocolate milk. I like about a 3-to-1 carbohydrate to protein ratio. Protein to help build and repair and restore our muscles that we have just damaged through the exercise, and the carbohydrate to allow us to replenish our glycogen stores. So most people, just FYI, most of my clients who are looking for weight loss do not get extras like this in their life. But this is truly for people who are working very hard on their performance, being able to hydrate and fuel during their workouts, and then just as much as important as a post-workout recovery meal is what have you consumed beforehand. For a lot of us, just eating your meals and snacks as normal, partnered with your exercise, will be perfectly acceptable. But for those of us who are working a little bit harder, sweating a little bit more, I do recommend to my clients that we do a sweat test to assess how much fluid they're putting out. And we also assess how much fuel they need based on their calorie burn. So let me just show you a few other things on this side of my pantry, things that I have, not necessarily things that I use. So I have a crock pot and an Instapot. The Instapot was given to somebody and they moved back into my house. And so it lives here, and the crock pot lives here as well. Honestly, I am just not a crock potter per se. I'm just not interested in preparing my meals early and consuming them, at the appropriate time. I am definitely at the end of my day wanting to get in my kitchen, spend a little time cooking, putting together beautiful, wholesome food for myself and my family. I have to show this lovely little ricer up here. This was my grandma's, passed on to my great grandma. And this is where you're able to take potatoes and then rice them. And it's wonderful for gnocchi and other type of Italian delicacies, little potato pancakes and such. Definitely an electric juicer in the mix. In all honesty, I have a new juicer that I love, love, love. That is old-fashioned and came from similar to one that I had as a child. So we'll show you that when we get onto the kitchen tour. And then definitely have my Dutch oven. So these are very solid ceramic pots that have lids that can be put on the stove as well as being placed in the oven. So they are thick-walled, they help to prevent things from burning, and they are just wonderful. And I actually inherited a couple more over here from, again, another roommate, young adult, who has moved home from college, and now I hold on to her wares. A big fat roaster, as you can see I have up here, is really important for those special time of years when we're putting a roast in the oven of some sort, or a turkey. So definitely something you want to have in your pantry as well. And then we've got a couple extra items. This happens to be a magic bullet. Again, if they're sitting up here, in all honesty, they're not being used. But let me just finish up with some of the things I have here. My KitchenAid still has flour on it. It is well used. I've had it for a multitude of years, and I absolutely love it. I have attachments that go with it as well. But for the most part, we are just using the dough hook, the paddle, and the whisk, and it is a tool that I think everybody should have in their kitchen. We recently acquired an air fryer. I will tell you that the air fryer and me have a love-hate relationship. It's kind of like back in the day when we used to make garlic bread under the broiler. You better keep your eyes on it, folks, or beware, you will burn things. Same thing with the air fryer, though on occasion I will throw some breaded chicken or different things in here. It's really too small for the 6 people that I have living for me on a regular basis. But if you want to heat something up, you want to crisp something up, it's smaller portions. It really is wonderful and gives you that kind of that fried situation, but without the oil for the frying. So anyway, that's the end of today. You know what Mama G always says, it's not about what you lose, it's all about what you gain. Just a reminder that we are in the middle of a complimentary webinar series that I've had all over my Facebook page. So feel free to check out what's going on there. You can still join us. More importantly, for those of you who are really interested in shifting your life, losing weight, improving your health, I start a 12-week Jumpstart program, my second of the year. We started our first on January 1st. We're about 10 weeks in now. We've had wonderful success with my clients, but we start again with a new group on April 1st. Happy to have a 30-minute conversation with you over the phone to see what your situations are, what your pain points are, how you've been on that diet roller coaster and can't get off, and more importantly, how we can use real wholesome food to change your life. So check out my page more in depth, and we'll see you later. Have a beautiful day.